Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
And I want to, first off, thank everybody for adhering to the rules. So for those who don't know, we had to set new rules because the overflows were getting way too fucking long. And we needed to kind of cut this down because we are, guys that do have lives outside of this. We would love for this to be our main jobs, but it's not. So we gotta live with what we have. So I think that I just appreciate everybody, being okay with it, and nobody threw a fuss about it at least that I know of. So that is much appreciated. So let's go ahead and get started. Hatman, politics or entertainment?
All right, let's flip a coin. Heads is politics, tails is entertainment.
Right.
Tails, we start with entertainment.
All right. We actually have more questions in that category, so that works for me. All right. So Crystal Wing 2149 starts us off, says, since Marvel created the story for Transformers, how different do we think the Marvel Comics and cinematic universe would be if the Autobots and Decepticons were in them? I think that would get a little too convoluted.
Yeah. To say the very least. I guess that would technically be part of Cosmic Marvel, too?
Not really. In all the old Transformers comics, they operated on Earth. The only character that really ever crossed over between mainstream Marvel and the Transformers comics is because he was created in the Transformers comics was Death's Head.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I wouldn't mind having Death's Head in the MCU because he's hilarious, but he's kind of the Deadpool before Deadpool in a lot of ways.
Now, see, that's... I've always said Howard the Duck was the Deadpool before Deadpool. So...
Well, I think Death's Head predates Howard the Duck.
Well, let's go to Google.
I think. I could be wrong on that one. They're from around the same era.
Let's see. Nope. That was 1987 first appearance. Howard the Duck was in the 70s.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
That was 73, yep.
But yeah, regardless though, I really don't like the idea of the Transformers being in the MCU. That's a little much. I'd rather keep the superheroes in one area and the Transformers. Get your chocolate out of my peanut butter when it comes to that one.
Yeah. Well. All right. What's up next?
Okay, so let's see here. Eclectic 1995 wants to know, in the Marvel Comics universe, are there any superheroes or superhumans being bodyguards for the U.S. president?
Hold on, say that again?
In the Marvel Comics universe, are there any superheroes or superhumans being bodyguards for the United States president? I can't really think of any.
I can't either. I mean, I'm just trying to think of the times that we have seen presidents in Marvel.
There's not really that many.
No, it's just been a handful of times. Huh.
See, I've been rereading some older stuff, and like on occasion you would see them because, but even then it was never really that big of a thing, or they were never like characters necessarily for very long in a book. Like during the Bush years, W shows up in Black Panther, and Priest actually wrote him like a kind of a funny guy. And then he showed up in Red Zone, in the Avengers arc, written by Jeff Johns, oddly enough. Trying to think here. No, I can't think of any characters, at least in Marvel, that have been a bodyguard for the president. Yeah. I know that at certain times superheroes have been used like diplomatic escorts and stuff like that, but I think that's the long and short of it. All right, Swordsman 100 asks, thoughts on absolute carnage? Hatman, have you heard of this?
Yeah. Donny Cates is doing carnage. Absolute carnage. I don't know how I feel about this.
So, my issue with it is that it's an event, meaning it's going to be crossing a bunch of different series as opposed to just having it be a mini-series. I don't like events. I like mini-series. I think mini-series can be cool. If you said, here's this mini-series where Carnage tries to kill everyone who has ever inconvenienced him, because on the cover of the book, they have him standing over the graves of Venom, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Captain America. 3 of the 4 were in Maximum Carnage. I don't think that Wolverine has ever gone up against Carnage before. Not one-on-one. Though, I think to myself, that's a wasted opportunity. Fuck. You give me a a Carnage versus Wolverine movie, I'd watch it. Just 2 hours of them hacking and slashing the shit out of each other. I would be glued to the edge of my seat. But no, the fact that it's an event, I lost interest immediately. I really like Donny Cates as a Venom writer. I'm looking forward to him taking on Carnage, but I don't want to read an event. I just would rather just see it in the Venom series. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I don't.
Because Cletus Cassidy's a phenomenal villain.
Yeah, I just don't know how I feel about Donny Cates after the whole Twitter fucking thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about Donny Cates.
Well, he's kind of...
That sucks too.
Well, I am still of the opinion that the problem with Donny Cates is he's a super talented guy who listens to people in a circle of friends and friendly people around him, and that circle of friends is all a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah. Well.
Tim Doyle being one of them. And Tim.
Yeah.
Again, you want to punch a Nazi? You, me, boxing ring. Either nut up or shut the fuck up. He is probably my least favorite internet tough guy because it's really annoying because you know he will never sack up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway... But yeah, Donny Cates, super talented guy. Really have no interest in reading an event from Marvel right now.
Yeah.
All right. Brian Gilmartin wants to know, what is each of our least favorite genres of music and why? That's a hard one for me.
Least favorite? Okay, for me, the kind of an easy answer for me, and it's probably going to feel like a cop-out for you guys, but country music, because I was exposed to a lot of it when I was growing up. Like, I just had a ton of it, and I just got...
Well, you live in the South. That's not really surprising.
But I just got progressively more sick of it. So, I absolutely don't listen to it anymore.
Yeah. See, with me, I'm trying to think, like... There's kind of two for me. Because there's genres that, like, I just don't listen to because it has nothing for me. And then there's ones where I have, like, one artist out of the entire genre that I enjoy. So for me, it is a tie between anything electronic. So, that would be, like, EDM... which I guess would include Deadmau5 and that sort of shit. And then, what is it called? Fucking dubstep. Constant fucking wub wub wub. Go to hell. That's not music. You use an iPod. You're not a musician. Go away. So it'd be a tie between that and country music, because country music, I like Johnny Cash. And that's it. And with me, I worked at a country music station when I was 16 years old. And it went from disliking country to fucking hating country. Because it really did feel like every song was about the same shit. And I'm like, this is the most miserable genre I've ever experienced outside of fucking emo. Actually, you know what? I think I like emo less than country, so we'll go with emo and electronic.
There we go.
Because the difference is, like, in country, you get the impression that at some point country artists are able to, you know, like, have a good time. Emo, you don't have good times. There are two moods: depressed and noose. Just remember, kids, it's vertical, not funny. Horizontal.
It's funny. I was told by one of my audiophile friends that country is pretty much just the white people's version of rap, and I'm like, maybe, but with the rap equivalent of "She Thinks My Tree."
The rap equivalent of "She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy"?
Yeah.
I could probably think of one.
Chat, have a field day with that one.
Think of a rap song about a car. You know?
I can't. I don't.
Well, I know that they exist, because, like, I'm trying to think, because there were all these rappers back when I was, like, when Eminem was really popular, that, like, all they rapped about was how much money they had.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the equivalent to "She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy."
Maybe, but at the same time, like, you got country songs about trucks and shit too.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, this oddly enough, it goes into Thomas Sowell's work on Black Rednecks, White Liberals. Mm-hmm. That there's a lot of crossover between poor white and poor black neighborhoods, in a sense, mm-hmm. in the sense that they originate from Southern cracker culture from you know, during the Revolutionary War era and just afterwards up until the Civil War.
Yeah.
Because back, you know, before the Civil War, free blacks in the North and blacks in the South, even ones who were free, who weren't slaves, acted very differently. Culture was completely different. And as time has gone on, it's kind of merged, but even then, not really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that would be my answers. Yeah. Chris Jones says, thoughts on Vic Mignogna getting invited to Kameha Con and the Kick Vic side getting salty about it. Well, they were never going to go there in the first place.
Actually.
Oh.
There were people who were planning on going, and I think it's like 3 weeks out from the con.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them like can't cancel things in time.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why they're so pissed, because they feel like, you know, oh, they were led to believe that he wasn't going to be there, and they booked the rooms, and had they known that he was going to be there, they would never have done this thing in the first place. At this point, the Kick Vic thing has just gone to absolute retard levels.
Well, not to mention it lost a ton of steam the instant he lawyered up.
Yeah.
You noticed that a lot of people got really quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that's the thing. Nobody sues for defamation like they should.
Yeah.
That's really, starting to change, though. They really need to start fucking... Yeah, and they really need to start fucking doing it more. Like, I get it, there's that stereotype of, oh, well, you know, he he got a lawyer and he filed a lawsuit against me for some frivolous bullshit reason because I called him an asshole on the internet. But then when you've got these social media mobs that are running these campaigns to cancel people, the whole cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
People need to fucking put their feet down and say, fuck this. This needs to stop. And the only way to do that is to sue some motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep getting away with it.
Exactly. So no, but to hell with them. I mean, the fact of the matter is that this guy did not deserve to have people try to sabotage his career over accusations with zero proof.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy he's going, and hopefully things will start to normalize for him.
Yeah. Wishing him all the best.
Absolutely. Black Knight Rex asks thoughts on Love, Death, and Robots.
I'm not familiar with it.
To the Google. Is an American adult animated technology television series on Netflix. The 18-episode first
Love,
season.
Death, and Robots.
Released
Collection
on
of animated short stories.
Hatman's internet's being a shit again.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's see here. Animated by different crews from a range of companies. It's a reimagining of their reboot of Heavy Metal. Interesting.
I love that movie.
It's an interesting.
Even if it was a total fucking trip.
I don't know if my Netflix is still, because I canceled it. I don't know if it's still active. If so, I might give it a look. But I don't have an opinion on it right now.
How many fucking Scalzi stories? 3 of them based on John Scalzi stories. God damn it. Well, I know the 3 I can skip. Blur Studios? Really? That's interesting. For those of you who don't know, Blur Studio did the cutscenes for Halo 2 Anniversary.
Interesting.
They are fucking great.
And then John Whitesell says, Toph Beifong? The fuck is that?
Avatar.
Versus Heath Ledger Joker, who wins?
Toph.
Wait. Oh, right. I saw her on a Death Battle episode. She's like manipulates the earth, right?
Yeah, she's literally the strongest earthbender there is. She invented fucking metal bending. There was no way to actually bend earth elements in metal before she came along. And fucking she's blind. Badass. Also, she's a cop, so...
I'll go with whatever Hatman says. I got no fucking clue.
Metal bending cop.
Alright, so that's it for entertainment. Politics-wise, Leonardo Juan wants to know what our favorite Donald Trump moment is.
Favorite Trump moment. I know the one that made me laugh was on the podcast when somebody's talking about Antifa to the tequila music.
Yes, that would have to top it for me too.
That was great.
Oh, that was a fun moment.
Oh, yes. I like that one. That one's going to be my pick.
Yeah, I think that I'd have to go with that too. Melee Brawler 64 wants to know, how come so many people on the left don't like the idea that being gay is a choice? Well, this is the interesting thing about that. We don't know what causes our sexualities to be what they are, scientifically speaking. We don't have a fucking clue. And it's something that they will admit in the scientific community, especially psychological, behind closed doors. They will not say that in public. Ever. The reason they won't is for political reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back, and this is something that Hatman and I have talked about, I think, the last couple podcasts. People do not understand how much of an effect the LGBT debate had on modern politics today, and how it helped, or was basically abused, to draw the political lines in the sand that we have right fucking now. What is the number one thing that a right-winger is accused of being? Traditionally, it's a homophobe. They don't like the gays. They don't want to say that the gays exist. Stuff like that. There's a reason for that. It's because for the longest time there was a debate basically on two sides. On the right, it was, this is a lifestyle choice. And if it's a lifestyle choice, that means that there is an element of decision-making in it. And you can't treat it like it's something that's natural, something that's, that you have no control over. And on the flip side, if you don't have any control over it, you're basically, in a sense, freeing yourself from judgment. Nobody can ever judge you for being in a same-sex relationship. Mm-hmm. Now, it got drawn down party lines because Christians had made the mistake of enshrining marriage in government, which is a bad fucking idea.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, there were specific religious ideas that that you have to enshrine as well. Well, if you start saying that homosexuality is something you're born with, the Lady Gaga argument. I was born this way. Mm-hmm. But if you're born that way, you basically, you can't be judged on it. It is the unjudgeable thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, trying to judge somebody for being autistic. You're born that way. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it's like, if you're born that way, then it's natural. I mean, it's almost like trying to evoke arguments from the civil rights movement.
Exactly.
In the 60s.
You're spot on. That's where I was going with it. Basically, it's basically they were sure, and you will constantly there's a reason that 10 years ago there was a statement that gay is the new black. Mm-hmm. That's what they were aiming for, because you can't hate somebody for their skin color. It makes no sense. They have no control over it. That's the basic principle behind racism, is that it is something we are born with, ergo, it is not something worth hating someone over. They have the same rights as anyone else.
Yeah, there was no logic behind it.
Yeah, and basically people on the political left wanted to use that same sort of logic when it came to homosexuality, as opposed to us learning more about it, understanding it better so that we could make better policy and understand being human better. It is, in my opinion, an anti-science position, because you cannot prove that there's a gay gene. Mm-hmm. And all studies to try and find one have came up with nothing. There was a study in the UCLA 4 years ago that was very quickly shut down, and the college apologized for what their findings were, that there wasn't a gay gene. There is zero evidence that it's a genetic trait. There have been hypotheses on how it can affect creatures in nature, but they're not proven. They haven't even made it to theory level yet.
I mean, it goes all the way back to when the American Psychological Association considered it a mental disorder, and of course that got removed sometime in, I believe, the 1970s or 80s.
80s.
Okay.
Because of political pressure.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and we're seeing echoes of that today
With the transgender movement.
Exactly, because now you've got people arguing that gender dysphoria is not a real thing and should not be classified as a dissociative disorder.
Yeah, and there's a good chance that in the DSM-6, whenever it happens, it will not have it in there.
There's a very, very good chance of that happening. And
it's not good.
If you guys ever want to lose brain cells, go look up the True Scum versus Too Cute, Tucute debates. That shit is fucking next level. Like, talk about people
what is
that
it?
are
I'm in
literal,
the dark here.
Okay, so it's literal trans trenders saying that you can choose whatever gender you want to be.
Oh.
Anything ever. And they called themselves the Too Cutes because, of course, they have to make it sound cute and flowery and whatnot. And so the true scum or trans medicalists are the people who think that you need to have, in order to claim that you are transgender, you need to have gender dysphoria.
Which would be a true statement.
Naturally, yes, it is. There's nothing wrong with saying that, really, because people believe that, no, actually, you can choose this, and that's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. It is pants on head retarded. It flies in the face of, ironically enough, flies in the face of this whole born this way argument that came from the gay rights campaign. And when you factor in things like the bathroom bill that was passed in North Carolina a couple years back, that, oh, well, people can just claim to be this gender and then go into a women's bathroom and go and molest somebody. Literally, that could happen under the logic of these Too Cutes.
Yep. And here's the thing. My biggest problem with it, and I'm not a scientist, but I was always interested in two major fields, was philosophy and psychology. When it comes to this particular discussion, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to dysphorias, we need to be researching this, because not understanding it has led to people dying. The transgendered suicide rate from pre and post transition is exactly the same. That tells you transitioning doesn't help. It does not make a difference. And now we're seeing more and more people who have transitioned that are having regrets.
Yeah. But
it all comes from the same fear.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
People simply do not want to learn about this. They want to just do what they want to do and not feel guilty for it and not feel shame and just be able to do whatever they want because we're born this way. No, you're probably not. And that's what's crazier. Yep. Is that there were interesting studies into sexuality going on prior to 2008 that I was reading about in college. And we were starting to understand it. Starting to understand what the roots of this were. And then it all got squished. Because you're not allowed to look into it. We're not allowed to understand that now.
Yeah. Again, with the trans thing, there was one study involving treatment of gender dysphoria with drugs. Never see it again. You will never, ever, ever see it again.
Yeah.
Because right now what the DSM recommends is transitioning. Despite the fact that if you have gender dysphoria, you usually have a whole cocktail of other issues as well.
Yeah, there's a reason it's linked to depression.
Yeah.
and it's basically going untreated.
Yeah.
And you're having people possibly mutilate their bodies. And then what happens when the regret sets in? Yeah. Then they're fucked. Then they just spent thousands of dollars to have their bodies altered, and it didn't help. And I say this as somebody who knows trans people, and they know my feelings on it, but I still want them to live good lives, but I just don't think that this is the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, this isn't to say that transitioning is an absolute wrong. It's just that we do need to undertake more research on this stuff. And there shouldn't be any sort of political pressure one way or another in regards to how the research is conducted.
Yeah. Well, I just want people to admit that it could be wrong. Because the statistics show that it's not helping.
Yeah, that's the scientific method.
And the fact that we're so scared of that,
possibility that you're wrong.
Yeah, that we're so fucking frightened of that boggles my fucking mind. And this would be like, and I'm not equating cancer to transgenderism or cancer to being gay. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying this would be like being afraid of understanding how cancer works, or understanding how the flu works, or just understanding how something in your brain works, the thought process. It's literally being afraid of knowledge. That's what really bugs me. It's like we're afraid of understanding why our sexuality is the way that it is, why 4% of people are not attracted to the opposite gender completely. Because that's the statistics of people, all the people who identify in the United States as gay, bi, basically gay, bi, or trans, 4% of the total population, primarily dominated by gay and bisexual. And why
and the most generous estimate was like 1 in 10 people would be gay or lesbian.
Even that's not completely correct.
I think. Yeah, it's not, but that's, like I said, that is the most generous estimate.
Well, that was what, when they polled people in general, what they thought the percentage was like 10% to 30%. It's like, no, 4%, according to the CDC. So, and I remember how that was like one of the several studies that came out like during the Obama years that like the left got all pissy about. There's no way it's that low. Yes, it is. You have been pressing and going after religious people based on 4% of the fucking population. There's less than 1 million transgender people in the United States. Less than 1 million. I think it was the count was at like 700,000. At best. And we're not trying to understand why this is happening.
Yeah, it's not even 1%.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, actually, a more apt comparison would be like if we weren't studying depression, or if we weren't studying autism. We do need to understand these things. We need to understand why these people are not the norm. What's going on here? But because of politics, we will not do it. And that drives me up the fucking wall. But yeah, to go back to Melee Brawler's question, though, that is a big part of it, is that they want to use the same arguments used during the Civil Rights era. But the difference is that it's not really about rights, necessarily speaking. They're, under property rights, just base property rights straight from Locke, there shouldn't have been an issue with gay marriage, because from a government's perspective, it's just a contract. What the fuck does it matter? If you want to get into religious things and talk theology, I'm more than happy to do so. But if we're talking government, get the government out of there. It's got no business there. Despite my disagreements with people's lifestyles and the way that they live, I still think that they should have the freedom to make the choice. I believe that choice is a God-given, free will is God-given. There's something sacred to it. And I don't think it should be interfered with. So even if you are making the wrong decision, the ability to make that decision should not be stripped from you. in a sense, you have the right to be stupid. You have the right to sin. But you will, there will always be recompense, but that's between you and God. Mm-hmm. But we as a society are unwilling to dive into that unknown, and I think that the political left has abused that fear for a long, long time. And that's part of the reason why we don't know jack shit about this. And we will continue to not know jack shit about it for a long time until people knock it off and we let actual scientists who are interested in figuring out the world figure out the fucking world. Anything to add, Hatman, before we move on to the next question?
I think that's about it.
Okay. Black Knight Rex wants to know thoughts on Orthodox Christianity. Not something you'll ever see me get into.
There's an Orthodox church up the road from me that sells souvlaki on occasion.
So what now?
There's an Orthodox church up the road from me that sells souvlaki on occasion.
Gesundheit.
It's pretty good.
I don't know what it is.
It's you know what shawarma is?
Yes.
Not that different from shawarma.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Sounds tasty.
It is.
But no, not something you'd ever see me get involved in. Nothing against people who are. Just, it's too traditional for me. It's not. My big problem with big church organization like that is sometimes the building gets in front of God. And I am very Kierkegaardian in my approach to religious practice, being that there is supposed to be a personal relationship between myself and the divine. And when you start adding in all these other aspects, it starts to water the relationship down in a sense. There's a reason I'm not really part of a congregation at the moment, or very loosely part of one. It's for that reason. Is I wanted time between me and God to understand him better, and to read more, and to listen, and to just shut up and listen. To stop hearing all these other things and all these other people that are trying to get in the middle of it, and just, I've learned all of this. I have all of this knowledge from traveling from different churches, from learning in college, learning from my father. I just want time alone, me and the Word. That's it. Leave me alone. Now, the way I went about it is not something I would recommend for everyone. I'm very different in that manner. But, as it stands, yeah, Orthodox Christianity is not something I would ever get into. Hatman, what about you?
All I know is that that's some pretty good souvlaki. That's about it. But in all seriousness, though, yeah, it's just the super traditional churches. I just can't do. Orthodoxy to me, as a mostly outsider looking in, is not that different in appearance from the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Final question. Black Comet 1224 wants to know thoughts on constitutional monarchies. It's an oxymoron.
Unless, of course, the power is basically stripped from the monarchy, like what we've seen in the UK.
Yeah, where it's basically just a symbolic sort of thing.
Yeah, the crown is basically just a figurehead.
Yeah. I am not a fan of monarchs at all. Like, in any way, shape, or form. Fuck them. I'm not going to hit the button on that one, but just no. No. I do not want a king. I have one king, and that's Christ. And I will have no other manly kings. God wasn't even interested in having a line of kings. He's like, fine, here's Saul. Oh, you don't like Saul. Fine. I'm going to start this line of kings, and he's going to lead to the birth of my actual son, and he will be the king above all kings, and you're never going to have another one again. And thus here we are. So yeah, that is my general thoughts on that. Is you're never going to get me to say anything nice about a monarchy. You have to keep in mind, I'm Scottish. You say prima nocta around me, I'm tempted to grab a fucking claymore and cut your head off. Trust me, laddie, it's not something you want to do.
All right, chat. You know what that means? Everybody's going to call for a freedom button.
I wish I still had my kilt. I
Man.
used to have a kilt, believe it or not. And
I need one. I need one of my clan's tartan. Even though they're extinct.
Yeah. There was a thing in college that we did called William Wallace Day. And it was the only time I had ever worn it. And it was surprisingly comfortable. I was forced to wear shorts underneath it, though. So. But no, like, monarchies, no thank you. No, fuck the king.
All right, Micah's the hound now.
Yeah. Bring me one of them chickens.
If I have to hear any more questions about monarchy coming out of your cunt mouths, I'm going to have to eat every fucking chicken in this room.
Who do you think you're fooling with that top knot, bald cunt? That was one of my favorite lines of the last season. Sandor had just had he had enough of everyone's shit at that point. He's like, to hell with all of you. This is weird.
Oh, man.
That was one thing I always loved about him, is he played the straight man in a lot of senses. Like, everything around him is fucking crazy, and he would be the one person in the room that would say, this is dumb.
I will never get over that scene of him and Tormund talking about Brienne of Tarth. And he's like, what? You want to suck my dick? He's like, dick. Cock. Oh, dick. I like it. I'll bet you do.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. I love it.
All right, folks. That was all we had, question-wise, this week. And
on that note, I'm going to go have some chicken.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do the exact same thing. So we will be bringing every chicken in the room. But we do appreciate you guys giving us questions. We will be back this weekend. Normal time this time, unless something changes. And more fun will be abound. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be bringing to the table review-wise. Though I do know we have to watch the Trump prophecy at some point.
Yes. That has to happen.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, fun times. Folks, my name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
We'll see you guys next week. Deus Volt.
Deus Volt.